The British royal family has never been short on secrets hidden behind velvet curtains. But this time, things may be spiraling out of control. A leaked insider source has sent shockwaves through royal circles. Princess Kate Middleton allegedly confronted Queen Camilla in a private meeting, accusing her of appropriating heirloom jewelry meant specifically for Princess Charlotte. This was not just a missing ring or a simple necklace. These were rare and historic royal jewels, carefully preserved for the future queen, now mysteriously vanished from the royal inventory. And all signs, according to whispers within the palace, point to one name: Camilla. Why has Kate chosen to speak out now? At such a delicate moment, is she merely protecting her daughter? Or is there a much deeper scheme quietly unfolding? And is this truly a private family matter, or the beginning of a hidden power struggle within the monarchy? This story may force us to question everything we thought we understood about the crown. Born in 2015, Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana of Wales is third in line to the British throne, following her father Prince William and her older brother Prince George. As the only daughter of the Prince and Princess of Wales, Charlotte carries not only royal blood, but also the weight of being a symbol for the softer yet deeply meaningful future of the monarchy. From the very first moment she appeared in public, cradled in her mother's arms outside St. Mary's Hospital, Charlotte was warmly welcomed by the British public and global media alike. But what caught people's attention most was something beyond her royal status. In her gaze and in her shy smile, many said they saw the unmistakable reflection of a woman Britain has never forgotten: Princess Diana. It is not just the name Diana that connects her to the beloved Princess of Wales. Charlotte seems to carry within her something intangible yet deeply familiar, an essence of grace and strength that reminds many of her late grandmother. Even at a young age, Charlotte has shown surprising poise, charm, and an ability to navigate public events with quiet confidence. From major ceremonies like King Charles's coronation to Queen Elizabeth's funeral and official appearances at royal events, Charlotte has demonstrated a calm presence, refined gestures, and most notably, a gaze that seems to hold depth beyond her years, much like Diana's once did. Charlotte is not simply a princess in pretty dresses and polite waves. She is a living link to a legacy still alive in the hearts of millions. Princess Diana once brought a breath of humanity to the royal family, breaking formal traditions in favor of closeness with the public. Now, many look to Charlotte with the hope that she will carry forward that same spirit of compassion, sincerity, and gentle strength that once made Diana the beloved princess of the people. Behind Charlotte's sweet smile lies an entire royal framework quietly preparing her for the future. From an early age, she has been gently introduced to the historical values of the monarchy. A part of that preparation includes the inheritance of symbolic heirlooms, not only for their material value, but also their emotional significance. Royal jewelry, treasured tiaras, and precious artifacts passed down through generations are being carefully preserved for her. Some reports suggest that Charlotte is expected to inherit pieces that once belonged to Princess Diana as a way of preserving her memory and spirit within the future of the royal family. With her angelic face, intelligent eyes, and a sense of quiet maturity, Charlotte does not seek attention, yet always leaves a lasting impression. People often say Diana had the rare ability to make others feel seen and understood even in a crowd. Now, when they look at Charlotte, that same feeling gently returns. Princess Charlotte is more than a child born into royalty. She is a symbol of the connection between past and future. Within her, royal tradition and hopeful change walk hand in hand. And perhaps most importantly, she represents a living memory of Princess Diana, not only through her name but through her presence, her quiet strength, and the emotion she carries into every room. This is why, whenever Charlotte appears, hearts across Britain are stirred once more by the image of a woman who may be gone in body but never left in spirit. Among the traditions associated with her future were plans related to heirlooms jewelry, tiaras, and other important items passed down through many generations of royal women. These items are not only expensive or decorative in the royal family, the heirlooms carry symbolic meaning, reflecting personal stories, important public events, and the continuity of royal values. For example, the sapphire engagement ring that Princess Catherine wears once belonged to Diana, Princess of Wales. Now, it is recognized as a powerful symbol of legacy and emotional connection across many generations. Behind closed doors, palace staff and advisors are said to have carefully recorded which items were meant for whom. Some of these items would be given on important birthdays or events in life. For Princess Charlotte, many heirlooms were kept for her 18th birthday or a future royal engagement. According to insiders, the agreement was that these items would remain within the direct royal lineage and be passed down to Charlotte, preserving continuity. This agreement began to change when King Charles III ascended the throne in 2022. With his ascension, Queen Camilla, previously the Duchess of Cornwall, assumed a more prominent and active role in royal life. At first, her transition seemed smooth. She performed her duties calmly, attended engagement ceremonies, and was present alongside the king at many official events. However, just over time, some observers noticed a change behind the scenes. According to accounts from those inside the palace, a silent tension began to arise between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine. Although the two women maintained a professional and polite appearance before the public, there were signs indicating an increasingly widening gap. Subtle changes in their interactions, missed conversations, and differences in approach created a stream of discomfort. By early 2025, reports emerged suggesting that some jewelry items initially reserved for Princess Charlotte had been reallocated. Instead of remaining within Prince William's immediate family, some of these heirlooms were said to have been redirected to members of Queen Camilla's family, specifically her granddaughter, Lola Parker Bowles, the daughter of her son, Tom Parker Bowles. Lola, although closely related to Camilla, does not hold a royal title and is not in the succession list. For some within the royal family, the decision to transfer jewelry intended for Charlotte to someone outside the royal lineage caused serious concerns. The issue was not only about who would wear the jewelry, it was about the meaning of those jewelry items. For many, this move seemed contrary to long-established plans and traditions. The changes were gradually brought to light. Some heirlooms stored in private collections for Charlotte were suddenly worn by individuals unrelated to the direct royal lineage at public events. Tiaras, brooches, and necklaces previously associated with Diana or Queen Elizabeth appeared on unfamiliar figures, causing many questions and confusion. Although these changes seem trivial on the surface, within royal circles, such changes are very significant. Jewelry, especially historical items, is often used to signal status, lineage, and duty. When these items appear on unexpected individuals, they can signal a change in influence or evoke speculation about favoritism or internal conflict. Princess Catherine is said to have found these changes very worrying. Known for her measured and calm approach, she always focuses on protecting the interests of her children while still fulfilling her public responsibilities. And for her, these heirlooms were part of her daughter's heritage, symbols of identity and continuity that one day Charlotte would inherit and continue. Sources close to the family said that although Princess Charlotte may not yet be aware of this issue, her mother is deeply aware of its long-term importance. These are not ordinary items. They bring a sense of belonging and tradition, especially related to Diana, whose memory continues to shape public and private stories around the Wales family. When these reports attracted attention, advisors in the palace are said to have been trying to resolve the situation silently. Some supported a balanced approach, suggesting that the original agreements and intentions needed to be respected. Others are said to have remained silent, not wanting to increase internal tensions. Nevertheless, the feeling of some insiders was that something meaningful had been broken, not only in the literal giving of jewelry, but also in the deeper story told through these objects. The royal family has long relied on tradition to maintain stability. Tiaras and rings may seem like small details to the outside world, but within the institution, they play the role of markers of history. They help tell the story of the monarchy from one generation to the next. If these items are moved, transferred, or gifted without the public's understanding or formal process, then the concern is not only about property, but also about the possibility of rewriting roles and expectations. This concern is especially true when it comes to the legacy of Princess Diana. Her image still has a great influence within the royal family and the public. The jewelry she once wore or was associated with carries more value than sentimental value. They connect her descendants with her memory in a tangible way. Reallocating these items without a clear explanation risks sending a message that part of her legacy is being overlooked or redefined. So far, the palace has not issued any official statements about the reports. As usual, discussions within the royal family are kept confidential. The reaction of the public and media is mixed. Some people expressed sympathy for Queen Camilla, noting her long-standing efforts to support the king and her journey toward public acceptance. Others felt more aligned with Princess Catherine and her role as the protector of Diana's legacy and her daughter's future. Among the many items with historical and emotional value, some stand out because of their close connection with Princess Diana in the broader royal lineage. One such item is the Spencer tiara. Known for its elegant design and meticulous craftsmanship, this tiara originally belonged to Diana's family and was worn by her on her wedding day in 1981. Over time, it not only symbolized Diana's personal history, but also the tradition of passing down meaningful objects from one generation to the next. Another important item is Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara. Recognized by its distinctive shape and dangling pearls, this tiara was a favorite of both Queen Elizabeth II and Princess Diana. It was worn at many official functions and remains one of the most recognizable royal accessories. These heirlooms are not merely decorative. They play the role of tangible links to the past, conveying stories and values. Both of these items, along with others like the striking emerald necklace that Diana wore during a state visit in the 1990s, are said to have been reserved for Princess Charlotte. According to those familiar with the royal family's plans, the purpose was that Charlotte would eventually receive these items as part of her connection with her grandmother and her position in the royal family. They were not just gifts. They were meant to mark Charlotte's place in the historical arc of the monarchy. However, in early 2025, new information showed that Queen Camilla had begun reallocating these heirlooms. Insiders said that items intended for Charlotte were instead transferred to Camilla's granddaughter, Lola Parker Bowles. Although Lola is Camilla's family, she does not have a royal title and is not in the succession list. Although related through Camilla, she is not considered part of the royal family in the traditional sense. This decision caused concern not only from the public, but also within royal circles. According to reports, Queen Camilla believes she had the authority to manage the use of royal jewelry due to her role beside King Charles. It is said that she considered these items as part of a larger collection managed by the royal family, available for current use rather than reserved for future heirs. Whether this was a misunderstanding or an intentional move is still the subject of speculation. Royal advisors, speaking privately, expressed concern that Camilla's actions exceeded long-standing guidelines. One concern was that jewelry items previously classified as part of Princess Charlotte's future collection were suddenly reclassified as giftable. In practical terms, this meant the items could be used or passed on without referencing the original plans, which had silently guided decisions for many years. These moves did not take place publicly. Many changes occurred very subtly, through updating internal inventories and silently reassigning. Camilla is said to have worked closely with trusted staff, some of whom were hesitant to voice objections. It was not until Princess Catherine began noticing changes in the jewelry collection that the issue began to be noticed. Catherine, often praised for her calm and composed nature, is always serious about her royal role. She is famous for avoiding trouble and focusing on the happiness of her children, as well as continuing to perform royal duties. But when she noticed that jewelry related to Diana was no longer accounted for as before, she investigated further. With the help of a small group of trusted palace archivists and some of Diana's former assistants, Catherine silently collected information. She reviewed records, compared inventories, and checked official notes about who was supposed to inherit which items. Over time, a clearer picture formed, showing that the items were indeed being redirected and not by chance. It was clear that the reassignment of jewelry had not been widely discussed within the family. These decisions seemed to have been made silently, without consulting those most directly involved, specifically Prince William and Princess Catherine. Some jewelry worn at major royal events and associated with Charlotte's maternal legacy now appeared in unexpected places. One example is the emerald necklace, once worn by Princess Diana, promised to Charlotte by Prince William. According to those familiar with the family's private plans, the history of this necklace was meaningful, not only linked to Diana's public life, but also to private moments remembered by her sons. When Catherine learned that it had been considered for Camilla's family, she took it personally not because of possessiveness, but because of respect for the item's meaning. Catherine's reaction was very silent but resolute. She did not speak before the public or confront Camilla harshly. Instead, she was determined to understand the full scope of what was happening. Her goal was not only to retrieve the jewelry, but also to protect the sense of fairness and continuity that she believed the royal family should maintain. Within the palace, the atmosphere began to change. What was once silent confusion turned into silent concern. Staff who previously maintained a neutral stance began sharing what they knew. Archivists confirmed that some records had been altered. Some former staff described the timing and nature of these changes, providing a clearer timeline of events. As the truth became harder to ignore, support for Catherine's stance grew increasingly. Those within the royal family began to understand that the issue was not about material items. It was about principle. The concern was not only that jewelry had changed hands, but also that the way it happened undermined the long-standing approach to legacy and succession. For Catherine, jewelry represented more than tradition. It was about ensuring Charlotte grew up with a tangible connection to her heritage. In her view, these heirlooms were part of a story being built for her daughter, rooted in the lives of women like Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth, whose influence continues to shape the royal family today. Prince William also participated. Known for his calm and measured temperament, he is said to have shared his wife's concerns. The loss of items associated with his mother made him feel very personal. These were not just objects, but memories in material form. Witnessing them being given away or used outside the family line was like losing part of that legacy once again. As pressure gradually increased behind the palace walls, a decision had to be made. Efforts were made silently but resolutely to restore the original intentions related to the jewelry. Discussions continued among senior advisors, and records began to be corrected. The items in question were reclassified, one by one, as part of Princess Charlotte's future collection. This episode, although never fully publicized in official statements, became famous among those close to the royal family. It served as a reminder of the fragile balance between tradition and modern responsibility in the monarchy. It also revealed the silent strength of Princess Catherine, who acted not through public gestures but through careful planning, attention to detail, and deep respect for the values she upholds. One of the first signs of change appeared during a public appearance of Princess Catherine at a charity event held at St. James's Palace. She was seen in wearing a stunning emerald necklace, an item at the center of previous concerns. The necklace, once worn by Princess Diana and later promised to be given to Charlotte, had been considered for reassignment. Its appearance around Catherine's neck seemed to be a silent but unmistakable message. She had not made a public statement, but those who closely followed royal events understood its meaning. Catherine confidently wore the necklace. The moment was carefully arranged but not extravagant. She smiled, greeted guests, and performed her duties with her usual grace. However, the necklace still stood out, attracting silent recognition from many attendees. It was no longer just a piece of jewelry. It had become a symbol of reassurance. For many, it showed that tradition had been maintained and Charlotte's future, at least in this respect, had been guaranteed. The public's reaction took place quickly. News agencies began reporting on the internal tension, framing the story as a clash between two generations of royal women with different views on tradition and influence. Although the palace did not issue an official statement, Royal reporters and insiders helped fill in the details. The story spread Catherine had stood up against Queen Camilla to protect her daughter's legitimate inheritance and maintain the legacy of Princess Diana. Social media played a large role in shaping the broader reaction. Hashtags like hashtag Justice for Charlotte and hashtag Stand with Kate began trending, with thousands of users expressing support for Catherine's actions. Many people examined the situation through the lens of Princess Diana's legacy, seeing Catherine as a protector of that memory. Posts included images of Diana wearing the same jewelry borrowing alongside images of Catherine continuing that story. Others focused on what they saw as Queen Camilla's mistaken handling of the situation. For many years, Camilla had worked to build a positive public image. After a difficult introduction to royal life, she had gradually gained a more favorable reputation by performing her duties and supporting King Charles. But now, much of that goodwill seemed to be at risk. Some of the strongest public responses came from supporters of the late Princess Diana, who had long felt protective of her memory. For them, this moment seemed like another attempt to overwrite or change Diana's position in the royal story. The idea that heirlooms associated with Diana might have been given to someone outside her family lineage caused discomfort. The fact that Lola Parker Bowles, who received some jewelry, did not hold any royal title or responsibilities, did not help. The move seemed out of place with the values and traditions that many still associate with the monarchy. As media coverage expanded, so did speculation about the atmosphere inside the palace. Reporters noted a clear change in how Queen Camilla appeared at public events. Although she still maintained her usual composure, there was a clear difference in her demeanor. Her smiles were more discreet, her posture more cautious. She continued to attend royal ceremonies but seemed to do so less easily. Observers described her presence as quieter, more restrained. Sources close to the royal family said Camilla was affected by the criticism. Although she had become more seasoned over the years, the level of public reaction caught her by surprise. What she might have considered a private family matter became a national topic of discussion. For someone who had worked hard to be accepted, this change in tone was difficult. Meanwhile, King Charles is said to have been trying to manage the growing tension between his wife and daughter-in-law. According to those in the palace, he met privately with both women to ease the situation. His goal was to maintain unity within the family, especially as the monarchy faces increasing public scrutiny in the modern era. However, even with these conversations, the consequences were hard to ignore. Behind the scenes, a new dynamic was forming. Princess Catherine, long regarded as a supporter and a stable presence, was now viewed with a new level of respect. Her decision to investigate the issue silently, confront it directly, and resolve it without causing a public spectacle made an impression, not only with the public but also within the palace walls. Those who previously saw Catherine only as a graceful royal consort now recognized her as a powerful figure in her own right. Her ability to stay calm under pressure, act strategically, and protect what she believed was right changed perceptions. She did not demand authority, but clearly, she had earned it. This silent strength resonated with many people. In contrast to the traditional image of royal disputes resolved through public statements or dramatic gestures, Catherine's approach seemed measured and modern. She relied on the facts, process, and silent leadership. In doing so, she reminded many people of what it means to be a steadfast and reliable figure in public life. The impact of her actions was not only personal, but also influenced how the public viewed the royal family in general. For a long time, the monarchy had been trying to redefine itself in a changing world. Debates about its relevance, tradition, and structure had become more frequent. But Catherine's role in this situation proved that certain values, integrity, fairness, and responsibility still hold a place. For Queen Camilla, the weeks following the controversy were a challenge. She still maintained her public role, but there were signs of withdrawal. Friends noted that she kept a more discreet demeanor and focused on more private activities. It was reported that she felt misunderstood and saddened by the public's reaction. For her, the situation had become more than a disagreement about jewelry. It related to her status in the family and her position in the royal story. The contrast between the two women became a topic of discussion. While both performed their royal duties, their approaches and public images were very different. Catherine's calm and thoughtful presence attracted admiration. In contrast, Camilla seemed to struggle to connect in the same way despite many years of effort. This contrast was not necessarily about blame. It reflected a broader reality about influence and trust. In the eyes of the public, Catherine had shown she could be trusted to protect tradition while meeting current needs. She did not seek attention or praise, but her actions stood out because of their purpose and clarity. By the end of the season, the palace was working to return to normal. Events continued, photos were published, and statements expressed unity. But for those paying attention, something had changed. The jewelry had been restored, but that moment had left a mark. Charles always valued family unity, especially in recent years as he stepped into the role of a monarch. The disagreement over jewelry posed an unexpected challenge. It was not only a matter of tradition, it raised deeper questions about legacy, influence, and trust in the royal family. To manage the situation, Charles is said to have held a series of private meetings with both Catherine and Camilla. These conversations were very thoughtful and private, not at all dramatic. Charles reassured Camilla about her position beside him, acknowledging her many years of dedication. At the same time, he expressed gratitude to Catherine for her measured handling of a sensitive issue. According to sources, her approach was highly appreciated. Despite these efforts, the incident left a clear mark. Reports about the incident spread far beyond royal circles, and public opinion was largely shaped. Even after the jewelry was returned to Charlotte's future collection, many still considered the event a moment exposing the fragility of trust in the royal family. Headlines changed, but the conversation around legacy and leadership remained. Princess Catherine still maintained her inherent composure. She made no public comments about the incident, but those close to her noticed her sense of responsibility growing stronger. In private life, she still focused on her children, royal duties, and maintaining the values she believed were essential to the future of the monarchy. The way she handled the situation became a silent turning point. For many years, she was seen as a graceful supporter beside William. Now she emerged as a protector of tradition and a defender of the next generation's position in royal history. This change in perception, though subtle, was meaningful. People inside and outside the palace began to see her as a person with stable and meaningful influence. In contrast, Queen Camilla entered a relatively quiet phase. Although she still continued her official duties, her presence in the media was more restrained. Friends and advisors said she felt deeply affected by the public's reaction. Despite the long journey toward acceptance, this moment brought back old doubts and the feeling of being an outsider. It was not only the loss of public support, it was also personal disappointment. Camilla had hoped to contribute meaningfully to the monarchy, not only as queen consort, but also through her relationship with her family. The desire to share part of the royal legacy with her granddaughter might have been sincere, but the method caused more harm than benefit. It served as a reminder of how closely the public and the institution adhere to tradition. For King Charles, the challenge was to maintain balance. His support for Camilla remained firm, but he also recognized the strength and integrity that Catherine demonstrated. As the royal family moved forward, Charles emphasized the importance of unity, understanding that the future of the monarchy depended on cooperation between generations. He encouraged open communication and worked silently to prevent similar misunderstandings. In the following months, royal activities continued with a new purpose. Public appearances by William and Catherine were warmly received. Their focus on charitable activities, children's welfare, and mental health continued to spread. Catherine's calm leadership and thoughtful presence were even more respected. Attention also shifted to younger royal members, especially Princess Charlotte. Although still a child, Charlotte showed signs of growing confidently into her role. Her upbringing was carefully balanced by her parents, who wanted to give her a solid, joyful childhood while preparing her for future responsibilities. Charlotte's early years included a combination of public and private life. From her first appearance outside the hospital to participating in royal parades and holidays, she was gradually introduced to life as a royal family member. Observers noticed her natural ease in front of camera lenses, her confident wave, and her warm interactions with the public. These small moments showed that she was beginning to understand the unique path ahead. Behind the scenes, William and Catherine protected Charlotte's sense of identity. They ensured she had time to grow up, away from constant scrutiny. The family's move to Adelaide Cottage in Windsor provided more privacy while keeping them close to royal duties in London. Charlotte attends a private school, participating in sports, music, and extracurricular activities alongside her brothers. Friends of the family describe her as lively, thoughtful, and curious, a child aware of her place in history but allowed to enjoy childhood without excessive pressure. The resolution of the heirloom dispute ensured that when the time comes, Charlotte will receive the items intended for her. These items will serve as reminders of her heritage and the women before her, Diana, Queen Elizabeth II, and their legacy. For Catherine, this outcome was not only about tradition, it was about creating a meaningful connection between the past and the future, helping her daughter feel attached to the family story. As the royal family moves forward, the impacts of the situation continue to resonate silently. Staff and advisors now approach issues of inheritance and symbolism with greater sensitivity. Decisions once made informally are now examined more carefully, with a deeper assessment of their long-term significance. The incident highlighted the evolving nature of leadership in the monarchy. In the past, leadership was associated with titles and hierarchy. Today, it is increasingly defined by character, actions, and the capacity to build trust. Catherine's role in resolving the situation provided a clear example, one that many now consider a model for royal duties in the modern world. Queen Camilla continues to support King Charles, though with a more cautious approach. She remains reflective, focusing on meaningful commitments and staying away from areas that cause conflict. Although she retains her title and responsibilities, her influence within the family is more restrained. Although still very young, Princess Charlotte has already evoked in the hearts of the public the image of an irreplaceable icon, Princess Diana. With every step, every glance, and every smile, Charlotte not only carries the royal bloodline, but also holds the hopes of a future filled with emotion, where tradition is preserved and hearts are genuinely touched. Will Charlotte become the next symbol to carry on the legendary legacy of her grandmother? The answer remains to be seen, but every moment she shares with the public continues to captivate the nation. If you are drawn to touching and profound stories about the British royal family, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Join us as we uncover hidden truths and explore the unseen corners of royal life. Hit follow so you never miss a moment of this mysterious and captivating journey through the world of royalty.